Native American Voices with Louie Cook and Ray Fadden is brought to you by the Akwesasne Gahwajile Genealogy and Historical Society with funding provided by Onaway and Plenty International. We invite you to listen to the complete series online at www.gahwajile.org. Nyawa Jizawada.
Seego, Skanagoako. Greetings, we hope that things are well with you. I'm Louie Cook. Welcome to this program about the native peoples of the Americas. Mohawk elder Dianatolo, Ray Fadden, is the founder and director of the Six Nations Museum in Onaway, New York. He and his wife Christine have operated the museum since Ray retired from a career of teaching in the public schools. At the museum, he lectures on the culture, history, and philosophy of the native peoples. You are invited to stay with us to hear Ray Fadden on Native American Voices.
I read about the records of the early explorers that came here, and they're in my mind, what they wrote, what they saw. A French explorer, Baron van Houten, went up Oswego River to Oneida Lake back in the days when Indian people took care of this land, and they took good care of this land. He left a record of what he saw. He said so many salmon went up Oswego River into Oneida Lake to spawn that it seemed as if he could walk across the river on their backs. He estimated that in one day, enough salmon went up that river into Oneida Lake to feed all of Europe 5 years. And that was one of hundreds of rivers choked with salmon. Where are they? I read the accounts of black robe missionaries going up the St. Lawrence River to Onondaga country. They also left a record of what they saw. Feeding in the swale and meadows along the St. Lawrence River, they saw what they call herds of wild cattle. Now, they had to be elk or moose, from 25 to 50 in a herd. Some days they counted 15 herds. They sat on their bateaux, they shot them for amusement. Where are they gone?
Ray Fadden's remarks cause us to pause and wonder at the senseless fury of unprincipled sportsmen and short-sighted exploiters. As a Mohawk historian and a retired science teacher, Ray Fadden has an understanding of the intricate relationships in the web of life. This consciousness is an important part of a Native American tradition that recognizes the equality of all life. But that view has not often prevailed. Indeed, it has been the lack of respect for the natural world that has caused the severe environmental problems that are only being recognized in this generation. Ray Fadden says that far too often, corporations and profits have overcome good sense.
To give you an idea of the mentality, that money comes first, they found that the DDT pesticide is deadly for humans. Of course, they don't care what happens to the animals, the birds, the fish, the insects, the plants, us precious humans. So finally, after a lot of protests, they finally passed a law. No more DDT can be used in the United States. But it's all right to go down to South America, Central America, and Africa and sell it to them. What kind of thinking is that? They had super salesmen coming around to all these little communities, selling some kind of a poison that their chemical company turns out that kills black flies. Out of curiosity, he went to the nearest place. He goes on and on and on about this wonderful product his chemical company turns out. You people give our companies $3,000, now they want about $10,000, and we'll fly over your neighborhood with our airplanes and we'll spray this poison that kills black flies. Any questions? I said, yes, I have a question. Does it kill other insects? Oh, how he hates to answer that question. All around my question he talked, but he didn't answer me. Finally, after 10 minutes, I said, look, I asked you a question 10 minutes ago. I'm still waiting for an answer. Does it kill other insects? Yes, next question. Dave Fyack over here that raised bees wanted to know if it kills bees. Oh, how he hated to answer that. 10 minutes later, I said, look, he asked you a question. I'd like to know, too. Does it kill bees? Yes, next question. I says, wait a minute before you talk anymore. Why do you fools try to play God? Every time you try to play God, you make a fool of yourself and you hurt this earth a little more. If this thing kills a useful bug like a bee, How are we going to have any more pollination? How are we going to have any more apples, strawberries, chokecherries, raspberries, huckleberries, and 1,000 other plants? And if this kills all insects, what are the birds supposed to eat? What are the frogs supposed to eat? What are the toads supposed to eat? What are the salamanders supposed to eat? What are the spiders supposed to eat? What are the 1,000 other creatures supposed to eat? I wasted my breath. A lady got up and says, we don't care about the birds and the fish. We don't want our children to be bitten with black flies. I said, you do these stupid things and you are going to destroy your own children. It's going to catch up with you. They spread their poison. I haven't heard a whippoorwill since they sprayed this country.
The understanding of the relationship between humanity and nature is a part of all Native American cultures. Humanity must live in harmony with the environment. This attitude has been so important to Native cultures that the cycles of nature served as a center of religious and social life. What follows is an Iroquois story about the history of the North American continent. Here, there is a message for all peoples, as Ray Fadden talks about conservation as the Indians saw it.
Many years ago, long ago, before the white man came to this island, the sun was in the heart of the Indian people. They were a happy people, and they had reason to be a happy people. Saquiyadizo, the Creator, had given them the most beautiful land in the world. There were many great forests that stretched over the land. There were many animals, like the beaver, the fox, the moose, the buffalo. The eagle only lives where a free people live. He's a symbol of freedom. When the eagle goes, freedom disappears. In those ancient days, there were many eagles in the sky over America. Look in the sky today. Count your eagles. There were many birds like the duck, the swan, the goose. There were many fish in the rivers, like the salmon, the sturgeon, the muskellunge, the trout. There were many animals like the beaver and the mountain lion, who live only where there is plenty of game. In those ancient days, there were all kinds of animals. For many years, the Indian people, both in the bark houses in the east and the teepees in the west, had lived in this land the Saquiyadizo had given them, and they were a happy people. But there came a time of sorrow and trouble for Indian people. From across the great waters came a great winged canoe. In it was a stranger, the white man. He met friends, not enemies. Everywhere he was welcomed in this land, given land to plant corn on for their women and children, given many food plants unknown across the ocean, corn, beans, pumpkin, squash, celery, buckwheat, maple sugar, maple syrup, vanilla, chocolate, peppers, tapioca, Irish potato, sweet potato, peanuts, popcorn, chewing gum. Many, many, many food plants were gifts of the American Indian. What did the stranger do? When he was hungry and his little ones cried for bread, he turned to the Indian, and it was the Indian man who gave them meat, corn, and fish. What did this stranger do to this land? With his axe, he destroyed the forest, not taking what he needed and allowing some to stand. But in his greed, he stripped our Mother Earth like you skin a muskrat, leaving a barren land, our Mother Earth wounded, bleeding, nothing but stumps. With his gun, he brought death to our animal brothers. Animals have a spirit, same as any other creature has a spirit. Animals have feelings, same as we have feelings. Zakwiyadizo cares for him too. He has a right to this land. This earth, Mother Earth, was not made just for humans. I'm no better than that woodchuck out in the field. We're all the children of the Creator. But this stranger made a game of it. He called it sport. To shoot for the joy of killing. To match his skill against the skill of a fur animal. Like a college professor matching his brain against a kindergarten kid. What chance has the animal got against the bullet? Some he wiped out forever. No longer we see deer around here. No longer bear. No longer moose. No longer elk. No longer wolf. No longer mountain lion. Our animal brothers are suffering. He took too many fish from the streams, or so polluted the streams that no fish could live in them. He did the same to our bird people as he did to our animal people. Some species he wiped out forever. With his plow, he plowed too much of our Mother Earth, not leaving a little here and there to hold the earth together, but in his greed for profit, he stripped the whole Mother Earth like you skin an animal, leaving a desolate land, our Mother Earth wounded. Now the Indian people look back. They remember how it was once. They saw how it is now. Their heart died within them. Tears fell from their eyes. Many, because the stranger wanted their land, were forced to pack their goods on their back, migrate west to the setting sun. Desert land, land the white man did not want. Now Zakwiyadizo is angry at the workings of that stranger from across the sea. Zakwiyadizo says, we will see the results of greed and suffering. We will see the results of wounding our Mother Earth. The birds are gone, most of them. What happens when that happens? The insects multiply. There's nothing to hold them in check. Many insects crawled over the land, and those insects were always hungry. And they ate the crops of the farmers. Because there were no forests, the winds came, bearing the rain clouds, and the rivers rose high and covered the homes of the white man and carried that rich soil down and dropped it in the bottom of the sea. Because there was no thick prairie grass or buffalo grass, the winds came again, and they carried that dirt and earth, and they covered the homes of the white man. And it said that it was so severe that some of that earth even fell as far away as Europe and Asia. Now the white man cries. Now his heart drags on the ground. He said, I have been a fool. I have been ignorant. I will teach my young people to be wiser than I have been. I will teach my young people to plant trees on our Mother Earth. The trees are useful in other ways than me just cutting them down. They furnish homes for the birds and for the animals. Their fruit furnishes food for the creatures that have a right to live on this earth. Also, the trees enrich the soil. The leaves, when they go back to Mother Earth, give food for plants. So I will tell my young people to plant forests, to enrich the soil and to hold Mother Earth together, so that when the winds come and the rains fall, the rivers will flow their natural way and not cover up my farms. He said, I will tell my children to put fish in the streams. Those fish also help to enrich the earth. And those fish are always hungry, and they eat the larvae of the mosquito and harmful insects that are harming my people. So it's useful to put fish in the streams. They also are food for other creatures who have a right to live. The mink, the otter, the loon, the blue heron, the kingfisher, the fishhawk. They will help these creatures, who also help our earth. I will tell my children to put houses in the trees for the bird people. Those birds have a right to this land, and they give us many things. They give us beauty. They make us happy. Their songs are wonderful. They also help to control the larvae of the mosquito and other harmful insects. He said, if I teach my children to do these things and things like this, perhaps someday God may smile upon me, and my heart, which is now sad for what has been done to our Mother Earth in America, perhaps someday my heart will, the sun will shine in it, And I will be happy because this land will be restored as it was long ago when the Indian people took care of it, many years before my ancestor came here and helped destroy it. Now this story is not told in anger, it's not told in revenge, it's told in friendship, the pipe of peace. It's told as a lesson. And it's an Iroquois story, but it could be any Indian story, and it is a true story. We better wake up.
Ray Fadden told us about conservation as the Indians saw it, a story read from a beaded record belt at the Six Nations Museum. Probably above all else, Ray Fadden is a friend to the animals around his home in the Adirondack Mountains. Neighbors routinely bring to him injured animals to be nursed back to health. His visitors sometimes are not so welcome if they forget to bring along food scraps from their kitchens. Ray Fadden tells us now a little bit about his friends, the bears.
Now, unfortunately, that acid rain isn't just harming fish. It's affecting every living thing there is, including the plants. And I, who live right here, can see what it's doing. And it scares me. I worry about the future of my grandchildren because of what they're doing to this earth. You want to remember that when they just mentioned fish because humans catch fish, but when the fish goes, it affects everything. When the fish goes, there's nothing for the mink to eat, there's nothing for the otter, there's nothing for the blue heron, there's nothing for the loon, there's nothing for the fishhawk, there's nothing for the kingfisher, there's nothing for many other creatures that have a right to live on this earth. And that goes right on up the line and affects everything. I'm living here where I can see what's happening. I've noticed that the trees aren't producing very many cones anymore, and those that the cones that are produced are shrunken. Do you realize that millions of animals and birds depend upon those seeds from the cone, evergreen trees, and also deciduous trees to live through the winter? What's going to happen when they all die? What's going to happen when they produce no more? It even affects the bears. They're being crowded out of their territories. More and more camps, more and more houses, more and more cements begin to cover the Adirondacks. Where are the animals and birds supposed to go? The bears are starving. They come to my back door. I feed them. I have to take care of them. I feel sorry for them. They're going through what the Indian went through. Last year I knew 19 bears by sight, counting the cubs. Although you couldn't tell them apart, they all looked alike, but around 19. This year about half that number. Our animals and birds are dying out. Now at night I go out and sometimes I hear a soft call like this, very soft. That is a bear letting me know he's there, and that's his friendship call. He makes that noise. When I hear that at night, I answer him. When he hears me make that sound, he comes out of the woods where I can see him. Now this may sound strange, but bears have a greeting. They bow to you. They bow to you. They bow to you. And when the bear does that, I bow back. I bow back. I bow back. Then he knows we're friends. He comes up. And I get scraps, anything I can scrounge out to feed them. Scrap bread, suet, bones from the meat market. They don't give it to me. I have to buy it. But I'm not going to let my friends starve to death if I can help it. They have a right to live too. They feel pain the same as we do. The mother bear fights to the death for her little ones. Same as your mother fight for you. That bear has a spirit the same as I have. The Creator didn't just make this earth for human beings. It's made for all creatures. We're all part of a web. We're all related. He has a spirit, same as I have. Zakwiya Diesel cares for him too. Now sometimes in the woods, if any of you happen to be in the woods and you hear this noise like this, turn and go the other way. That's a mother bear warning her cubs that you are around. And as far as that mother bear is concerned, human being is the most dangerous animal in the world. And mother bear is right. He is the most dangerous animal in the world. He kills his own kind, makes a business out of them. Bear doesn't do that. Some people say, oh, aren't you afraid of the bears around here? Let me give you a little enlightenment. You're safer here with 100 bears than you are in any of your city streets. You're safer here. A bear is not a ferocious animal. He's hungry. He tries to get food. He may tip over your garbage can, but he doesn't go after you. Not this kind of a bear around here. So when you hear that noise, just go the other way, because that mother bear is going to defend her children. Now, sometimes when an enemy comes around them, the cubs run up the tree. They can go up and down that tree just as fast as they can run on the ground. They're good at it. And when that happens, the mother bear knows there's danger because those little fellas got better eyesight than she has. And she looks around. And then sometimes she makes noise like this when she wants those cubs to come down. One time I look out and back, I saw a little cub that was separated from his mother. Sound asleep up on a branch, draped over the branch, just like a rug almost. A little head on one side, little hindquarters on the other side. So I thought I'd play a trick. First of all, I look around, make sure the mother bear's not around. I didn't see her anywhere, so I hid behind a bush, That little bear opened his eyes, and down that tree he came like an arrow. Through the bushes right over, and when he took one look at me, he went right up the tree again. What an ugly-looking mother. I fooled him, though. Now, sometimes I look out, I see a bear eating where I put food. All of a sudden, his fur sticks up, and he sort of grabs that suet that he's eating, and he makes a noise like this. That's a warning cry. Another bear is coming around, and that other bear wants some of that food, too. And that bear that's on the food is warning the other bear to keep away. And the other bear makes the same kind of a noise. Like usually the largest bear wins. But sometimes that large bear gets fooled. One time I look back and I see a great big bear. He must have weighed 500 pounds if he weighed an ounce. He's busy eating suet and scraps. All of a sudden from the bushes I hear that noise. And that big bear's ears laid back and his tail between his legs, he took off like an arrow. And who do you suppose came out of the woods? A little cub. He fooled the big bear. Now sometimes in the woods you hear a noise like this, just like a beehive. Sounds exactly like a beehive. That's a bear warning another bear, telling another bear he's around, he better get out. Those are sounds. Bears also make other sounds, but I can't do it.
Mohawk elder and educator Diana Tolu, Ray Fadden, at the Six Nations Museum in Onaway, New York, telling us about his friends, the bears. You've been listening to Native American Voices, which is produced in the studios of North Country Public Radio, WSLU-FM, at the St. Lawrence University in Canton, New York. Our series of talks and stories from the Six Nations Museum was produced with a grant from the New York Council for the Humanities. Recordings were done at the Six Nations Museum in Onaway, New York, by WSLU engineer Joshua Sacco. The song Color Nature Gone was written and performed by the American Indian rock group Exit and appears on their album Silent Warrior. The associate producer of this series is Peggy Berryhill. I'm Louie Cook, your host and producer, inviting you to join us again next time. Until then, I say, Skano, peace.
Let their voices sing, let their voices ring. Let my people dance. Let my people sing, let their voices ring. Let my people dance.
Native American Voices with Louie Cook and Ray Fadden is brought to you by the Akwesasne Gahwajile Genealogy and Historical Society with funding provided by Onaway and Plenty International. We invite you to listen to the complete series online at www.gahwajile.org. Nyawa jizawa dahusade.